There's something that happens after you've been through a hard season. And I'm not talking about like a majorly dramatic kind of season that just everything was coming to an end or everything was just falling down. I'm talking about just a season that was, maybe mentally taxing or emotionally taxing. Those months where you just kept showing up, you kept carrying everything, you kept functioning and get everything together. And see, you made it through that season. But here's what no one tells you about what comes next. A lot of us, a lot of people don't actually let ourselves enjoy the other side of that hard season. See, we might rest for a minute, we might pause just enough to catch our breath, but then we do the thing we always do. We look for and try to find that next problem to solve, the next thing that we need to fix. What is that next weight that I need to pick up? And I want to ask you something today. What if that is not strength? What if you just moving on? What if you just do that out of habit or insecurity because you're used to just being busy? Welcome back, guys, to the Manual Dr. EG3 podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel George, and most folks around here just call me Dr. EG3. This is a space where we talk about life. I try to talk about growth and becoming the real kind of growth, the kind that requires honesty, reflection, and learning how to hold responsibility without losing yourself in the process. And today I want to talk about something that sounds kind of simple, but it's actually one of the hardest things for growth mindset, high performance people to do. It's thriving, not just surviving, not recovering, but actually thriving. See, most of us are really good at getting things done. We've developed, a very particular set of skills that we've acquired over a very long period. And that's what feels normal to us. This gives us incredible capacity to endure, to push, to keep going when things feel hard. And honestly, that capacity is a gift. I'm not going to take that from you. I'm not going to hold you. That's a good thing that you've learned to do that. But here's the one thing about endurance that no one tells you. See, if you practice it long enough, it starts to feel like the only gear that you have. You get so good at surviving that you forget or even consider that thriving is even an option. And see, when something good finally happens, or that, how about this? Good things happen all the time. Our capacity to appreciate it, understand it, and recognize it is what really gets diminished. But when, see, something good happens, a compliment, a win, a moment of clarity, a moment of quiet joy, your system is like, what the heck? What is going on here? Right? We don't know what to do with it. We get caught in when is the other shoe going to drop? Or how about this? It's so fleeting, we move past it so quickly. We barely acknowledge it. We don't even tip our hats to it, right? And I want to challenge you. That's not humility. That's not strength. That's an identity that you've gotten stuck in the gear of survival mode and never got the memo that that hard part of that season is over. See, you don't have to earn the right to enjoy your life. Permission to thrive is not a reward, it's already yours. So, I want to talk about three main things that hopefully will resonate as we dive further into this topic. And the first one is thriving is not the same as being ungrateful. See, this is the first thing I want to address because it's something that we may all feel in different ways, but I want to address guilt because I know some of you, when things are going well, you might feel this low hum of guilt that's creeping in the background. Those thoughts that almost feel, or that those feelings that, am I sure that I even deserve this? Or somehow you've interpreted that enjoying it somehow means you're not taking your life serious enough. And I want to be really clear when I say this to everyone. Wanting more does not mean that you're ungrateful for the things you have. Enjoying your life does not mean that you've forgotten the struggle. It doesn't mean you've forgotten your past, or how about this? Doesn't mean you've forgotten where you came from. Expansion does not mean that you need to abandon the people who are still in the middle of that hard part. See, we're all on our own journeys, but I can tell you, gratitude and joy, they are not in competition with one another. You can be deeply grateful and still want more. You can appreciate the season you're in and still be excited for what comes next. Because see, these two things, they actually live together. Um, I remember as I was going from one season to the next, or when I got my promotion, or when I, had other opportunities that were on the horizon. Those were all moments that I felt guilty. I felt as though that, I have this good job and this good position and this good life. Why can't I ultimately just feel satisfied? But at the end of the day, I could live my life in joy. I could live my life with the stretching of where I want to go next, still have goals, and still appreciate where I am. So I had to check myself quite often about, enjoying and thriving, but also recognizing that I could also have a mindset of wanting more. I'm pretty sure you felt those things as well, that you wanted more desires, more clarity, more fun, more enjoyment. Nothing's wrong with that. Be grateful for the plan and the journey that you're on and still want to see around the next corner as to what's next. The second thing I want to address is you have to give yourself permission because nobody else can give it to you. Here's what I've learned most about thriving. Nobody's going to walk up to you and say, okay, you've done enough. Time to pause, time to clock out all the hard stuff. You've earned it. It's now time for you to enjoy it. That moment's never coming because that permission does not live with anyone else. It lives within you. And I can be honest, I've worked with enough people to know that a lot of us are just waiting until we've accomplished quote unquote enough, waiting until things are stable enough, waiting until the kids are older, the debt is lower, the career is further along. And all of that waiting adds up to a life where the good parts keep getting deferred to a future that seems like it never quite arrives. Now, that doesn't mean you should not be of wise counsel, being prudent, making sure that you're being responsible. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that thriving is a decision you make on the inside of the life that you already have, not the one that you're hoping and believing in trying to build. See, this life, the one right here, the one you're in the middle of right now, with everything that's still all unfinished, all of the things that still may feel a little chaotic, this is the life. And everything that you've already done is good. Well, Dr. George, what happens if, I made some mistakes and messes up? Well, guess what? We all make some messes. The messy middle is always a thing. And in the messy middle, we're all a hot mess. But the great news is you're learning from it. You're growing from it. You're becoming a different version that can approach things differently. And that's the permission you need to give yourself to be able to thrive. Point number 3, I want you to know that joy is a signal, not a distraction. This is the last thing that I want you to sit with because, see, when you feel joy, and I'm talking like real joy, the one that you're just kind of manufacturing, but when you actually find these moments and segments and these experiences of your life where you actually feel joy, I want you to pay attention to it because joy is not a distraction from your purpose. It's often the clearest signal that you're actually maybe in alignment with it. See, we get so caught up in surviving that we forget that those emotional signals where you feel like, there's joy, there's aliveness, there's excitement are indicators of where you probably need to be. You know what I'm talking about? Those things that make you come alive, those are data points. Those are moments where, time disappears. You feel fully present. Those things are telling you something. The things that you do where, you think you're just doing it for a few moments and you look a lot up and it's been a couple of hours. And when you keep dismissing those moments or diminishing them, when you keep just moving past them, not acknowledging them just to get back to the grind, look, you're not being disciplined. Well, nah, that's not fair, man. I'm going back to my responsibilities. No, you are ignoring one of the most important sources of direction that you have. That's that purpose. Thrive on purpose. Let yourself feel good. Let yourself be good, not because you've earned it, but because you're alive and you're here and this is your life. All of it, not just the hard parts. And guess what? Sometimes tapping in to those joyous moments makes the responsibilities go by that much faster. Heck, if you're going to be in the middle of the hard part and work real hard and grind, you got to have a reward every once in a while to make sure that you know that the hard is worth it. Because guess what? None of us really wants to do hard, but but most of the time we need an outcome that at least we can justify that it's worth it. Don't believe me? Go to the gym. Go work out. None of us want to lift dump trucks. Well, some of us do want to lift dump trucks. Let me be acknowledged, right? But there's something about the accomplishment of it. Nobody wants to go do 80,000 reps and dip sets and supersets and lifting these things. But you know what? After some time, you want to see a little change in the mirror. You want to be able to wear that tank top or the midriff, those pants that you've been holding in the closet. So here's what I want you to do this week. Challenge of the week. One thing I want you to do is to identify one area in your life where you can say that you've been surviving instead of thriving. Just one. I know you guys are going to start to write like a laundry list, but let's just focus on one right now. One area of your life where you've been surviving instead of thriving. I want you to write it down. But I then want you to ask yourself 3 questions. First, what would it look like for me to actually thrive in this area? Not just get through it, but to genuinely enjoy it. Second question, what story am I telling myself that's keeping me in survival mode? And lastly, third, what is one thing that I can do in the next 7 days to give myself some permission to experience this area differently? Now, of course, I want you to write them down, sit on the questions, reflect, but ultimately what? I want you to do something about it. I don't want you to just think them. I want you to write them down. Write down the answers and then just take that one step within the next 7 days. That's your window. All right. And I want to acknowledge, I know that you have been through some things this past season or season adjacent, or maybe you're in the middle of it. I know that it's real. I know that it's heavy and maybe weighing you down. I understand. But I also know this. The other side of that season is not just more endurance. I can tell you it's expanding you, expanding your capacity for joy, expanding you to the version of your life where you're just not trying to make it through, but there'll be a moment where you can actually live it. I know you don't need my permission, but you're allowed to thrive. I want you to acknowledge it. Not someday, not maybe, but now. And as always, guys, love you much.